The Mitchell mansion glittered with balloons, cake, and golden decorations, but not a single child's laughter. 7-year-old Emma, paralyzed after a tragic accident, waited in her wheelchair with wide, hopeful eyes. Hours passed. No one came. Until a poor black boy appeared at the door and quietly asked, "Can I join?" The Mitchell mansion radiated wealth that Sunday afternoon. The grand hall shimmered with crystal chandeliers, pink ribbons, and a cake so enormous it looked like it belonged in a fairy tale. A clown, hired for $1,000, leaned against the wall staring at his phone. Dozens of helium balloons floated toward the ceiling, yet the room was silent. Emma sat in her custom wheelchair, her little tiara crooked on her golden hair. Before her stretched rows of chairs, each with carefully printed name cards. Friends from school, children from wealthy families, neighbors from the elite circle. Yet every seat was painfully empty. Her voice trembled as she looked up at her father. "Daddy, when are they going to come?" Robert Mitchell, CEO of the most powerful pharmaceutical empire in the city, adjusted his Italian silk tie and glanced at his Rolex for the 10th time. 2 hours had passed. Not a single child had walked through the giant doors. He forced a smile and patted his daughter's hand, hiding the ache in his chest. But deep inside, he knew the truth. No one was coming. 2 years earlier, the Mitchell family's life had shattered. A car accident on a rainy night claimed the life of Margaret, Robert's beloved wife, and left Emma unable to walk. The once vibrant little girl now moved only through the hum of her wheelchair. At first, Emma's friends visited often. The mansion's halls echoed with laughter. But slowly, invitations were declined, excuses multiplied, and the elite families of Westfield drifted away. To them, Emma's wheelchair was uncomfortable, a constant reminder of fragility they preferred not to face. Robert noticed how playdates stopped. Birthday parties where Emma used to be the center of joy no longer welcomed her. Parents claimed busy schedules, but he saw the truth in their eyes. Prejudice. Now, as he watched his daughter staring at untouched cupcakes and a silent clown, guilt gnawed at his heart. He had built an empire from nothing, yet he could not give Emma the simplest gift, a room full of friends on her birthday. He whispered, "They must be stuck in traffic, Princess." But his words tasted like lies. And just when he thought the day would end in heartbreak, the mansion's doorbell rang. Robert nearly ran to the door. Finally, a guest. He rehearsed his executive smile, eager to greet someone, anyone. But when he swung open the heavy door, his smile froze. Standing on the marble steps was not one of Westfield's elite children, but a boy of about 8, with skin the color of warm earth and eyes shining like sunlight. He wore a faded Superman t-shirt, jeans with patches, and sneakers worn thin. His hands fidgeted nervously, but his smile was genuine. "Hi, sir," the boy said politely. "I saw the balloons. My name is Jamal. I live down the street in the public housing. I know I don't have an invitation, but could I maybe join the party? I promise I'll behave." Robert hesitated, stunned. Of all the rich kids Emma had invited, not one had come. Yet here stood a poor boy from the housing project, asking to join out of kindness. "Daddy, who is it?" Emma's voice came from behind, her wheelchair rolling toward the door. Jamal's smile widened. "Happy birthday. I don't have a present, but I can sing really loud if you want." For the first time in months, Emma laughed. Emma giggled, covering her mouth as Jamal belted out the happy birthday song in an off-key but enthusiastic voice. He twirled around like a performer, bowing dramatically. "You're funny," Emma laughed, her eyes sparkling with joy her father hadn't seen since before the accident. Jamal grinned, showing a missing front tooth. "Parties are no fun with just one person. But 2 people? That's already awesome." Robert stood silently watching in amazement. In just 5 minutes, this boy had accomplished what therapists, doctors, and expensive distractions had failed to do: make Emma genuinely happy. And in Jamal's eyes, Robert saw something unusual: a quiet maturity. A boy who knew loneliness and rejection, yet carried joy anyway. The party that was once silent had just come alive, thanks to an uninvited guest. But the joy was short-lived. The very next day, Robert's phone rang. Patricia Vanderbilt, president of the exclusive private school Emma attended, spoke with her cold, aristocratic tone. "Robert, I've received concerns. Some parents say a child from the projects was seen at your house yesterday. A child, not from our circle." Robert clenched his jaw. "You mean Jamal? The only boy who cared enough to come to Emma's birthday?" "Robert," Patricia sighed, "you must understand our standards. Our children cannot mix with unsuitable elements. It might harm Emma's fragile state." Through the window, Robert watched Jamal push Emma's wheelchair through the garden, both laughing as they raced like race car drivers. The purity of their friendship made Patricia's venomous words unbearable. "Patricia," Robert said firmly, "in 2 hours that boy showed more class than you have in 20 years of friendship." He slammed the phone down. But Patricia was not done. Behind the scenes, whispers spread. Parents told their children not to play with Emma. Business partners grew distant. The elite had declared silent war on Robert Mitchell and the child who dared to be kind. Later that week, Emma came home with red eyes. "Daddy," she whispered, "the girls at school said I can't sit with them anymore because of Jamal." Robert's chest tightened, fury boiling. But before he could speak, Jamal knelt beside Emma's wheelchair. "Hey," he said gently, "my grandma always tells me, people who judge by appearances can't see hearts, and people with good hearts don't care what bad people think." Emma blinked, her tears stopping. "Really?" "Really," Jamal smiled. "You're my best friend. That's all that matters." Robert turned away, hiding the lump in his throat. An 8-year-old boy had just spoken words wiser than most adults he knew. The attacks grew ruthless. On Monday, Robert's company lost 3 contracts overnight, clients citing strategic changes. On Tuesday, his golf club suggested he reconsider social priorities. By Wednesday, Emma returned from school sobbing, humiliated by cruel insults whispered behind her back. Robert sat alone in his office that evening, staring at his empire. He had power, wealth, influence, yet his daughter cried herself to sleep because of prejudice. No more. The next morning, instead of going to his company headquarters, Robert drove to the housing project where Jamal lived. For the first time, he saw the world beyond the mansion gates: small apartments, peeling paint, children playing barefoot in cracked sidewalks. And when he knocked on the Rodriguez family's door, he found not despair, but dignity. Jamal's grandmother, Dona Carmen, opened the door. Her face was lined with age, but her eyes radiated strength. Inside, the small apartment was spotless, filled with the smell of fresh tortillas. "Mr. Mitchell," she said kindly, "Jamal told me about the problems. Perhaps it's better if he doesn't visit your daughter anymore." "Absolutely not," Robert replied firmly. "Your grandson is the best thing that's happened to her in years." Soon, Miguel Rodriguez, Jamal's father, returned from work. His hands were rough with paint and grease from construction, but his posture carried pride. "We don't need charity, sir," Miguel said. "We work hard for what we have." Robert shook his hand. "I'm not offering charity. I'm offering partnership. My company is expanding community programs. I need someone with integrity to lead them. Someone like you." Miguel hesitated, stunned. "But I never went to college." "You've built something stronger than degrees," Robert said. "You've raised a remarkable son." But as Robert dug deeper, he uncovered something darker. Patricia and her allies weren't just shunning Emma and Jamal out of prejudice. They were orchestrating a massive scheme to demolish Jamal's housing complex, forcing families out for pennies and replacing it with luxury condominiums. The prejudice was not only about skin color or class, it was about greed. Roberts, lawyer, confirmed the plot. They've falsified contracts, manipulated city council, and spread lies to drive families away. Jamal's entire community is at risk. Robert clenched his fists. Not anymore. They targeted the wrong family. Robert hired Miguel as director of social responsibility. Together, they began gathering evidence: phone calls, canceled contracts, suspicious memos. Robert leveraged his resources, documenting every detail. The day they try to push this through, "The council," Robert said, "will be ready." Jamal listened quietly, his small hands gripping Emma's. "My grandma says evil always looks strong, until good stands up." Robert smiled. "Then let's stand up." Monday night, the city council chamber buzzed with elite chatter. Patricia sat in the front row, adjusting her Chanel blazer, smug with confidence. On the agenda, approving the demolition of Jamal's housing complex. But when the doors swung open, Robert Mitchell entered, flanked by Miguel, his lawyer, investigative, journalists, and federal housing agents. Patricia's smile faltered. Robert took the podium. "Before you vote, there's something you need to see." Recordings played on the screen, Patricia's voice. "We must make their lives so miserable they'll beg to leave." Gasps filled the room. Emails flashed, city officials conspiring with developers. Documents revealed fraudulent land appraisals. Patricia stood, shouting, "This is illegal!" But federal agents stepped forward. "Actually, you've been under investigation for months, and tonight, it ends." Cameras flashed as Patricia Vanderbilt and her allies were led out in handcuffs. The same community that once bowed to her power now watched her fall in disgrace. In the weeks that followed, Robert's company launched community health clinics. Miguel became a respected leader. Jamal earned a scholarship at Emma's school, his brilliance shining in science projects. Patricia lost everything: her mansion, her wealth, her reputation. And Emma? She finally had real friends, starting with the boy who asked, "Can I join, Emma?" And Jamal became inseparable, their friendship a beacon in Westfield. The mansion that once echoed with silence now rang with laughter. Robert's pharmaceutical company, once criticized for greed, became a national model of responsibility. And the boy from the projects? He wasn't just Emma's best friend. He was proof that kindness could change destinies. One knock, one question. One boy's courage. No one came to the CEO's paralyzed daughter's birthday, but a poor boy did, and he gave her the greatest gift: friendship. True wealth is not measured in money, status, or power. It is measured in love, kindness, and justice. And sometimes the smallest act, a child asking, "Can I join?" can transform an entire community forever.